Hi, and welcome to Gaston Spotlight. I'm your host, Jordan Taylor. Today our guest is an English teacher here at Gaston, Brittney Prichard. Welcome to the show, Miss Prichard.
Thank you.
So how long have you been here at Gaston?
I've been here since 2009.
2009? And what is one of your favorite experiences here since you've been here since 2009?
Gosh, there's been a lot. I really enjoyed when we had the Arts Festival on campus. That's been many years ago. It was called Textures and Tones, and we had lots of different artists come on campus, and students got to see music and plays and dance and poetry, and so that was really cool. So that was probably one of my favorite experiences.
So what inspired you to start writing poetry?
I've been writing poetry since I was very little, since I learned how to write. My grandmother was a school teacher, and she was a huge influence on my life, so she taught me how to read and write before I started school. And I just fell in love with words, and I think I probably wrote my first poem in first grade, and I've been writing ever since.
So you recently had a book come out this past summer, correct?
Yes.
Let the Spiders Out. Can you tell us about your experiences writing that book?
I did several different writing residencies to write the book, where I went away by myself for a week at a time and just focused on writing. And that was something I had never done before, where I was completely isolated and just devoted to the process of writing. So I think that helped a lot, just kind of having that time away. I did a residency in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And while I was there, I wrote probably the bulk of the book in a week. Like once I got there and just was completely focused and had time to myself, I think I probably wrote about 40 poems in the amount of 7 days, which is like a year's worth of work for me. And so that's sort of how the whole process started.
Were there any moments when writing a book that you had a period of writer's block?
Sure, everybody has writer's block. There are times when you just, you don't know what to do next. I think the hardest part, or the part where I felt the most blocked, was how to arrange the poems, like what order to put them in where they would have the most impact for the reader. And I probably rearranged that book maybe a dozen times before I felt happy with the order of the poems. And when I was doing that, there were times when I realized that something was missing between this poem and this poem, and I had to write poems that I felt like filled in gaps to continue to tell the story. So that was probably the hardest part.
Well, I'm excited to hear some of your beautiful poetry. Would you mind telling us what poems you'll be sharing with us today?
I picked 3 poems to share. One is a poem about childhood, and then one is a poem about marriage, and then the other is just an observation poem. So I'll be reading 3 different ones.
All right, so pretty good selection of them here. So thank you for being with us, Ms. Prichard. I'm JT with the Gaston Spotlight. See you next time.
This first poem is called A Part of the Clouds. As a child, I trained as a grocery store checkout clerk, grabbed the canned goods out of the cabinets, emptied the fridge of stale leftovers, rolled meatballs across the kitchen table, bottles of beer and ketchup. I'd punch their value into my father's calculator, give myself a total, bag up, turn around and unload again, hoping this time for something better than cans of Spam and sweet peas, dented chicken and stars. Weekends, I moonlighted as a librarian, begged my brothers to check out copies of Berenstain Bears or Beverly Cleary. They'd owe me a dime for every day late. And this is how I saved up for the basket of lighters I gave everyone for Christmas. I wanted to be part of the clouds, to unfurl my hair from its tight-kept bun, to dance while they took slow drags on the patio. I did not know I was killing everyone with my thoughtful gift of fire. This next poem is called Upright and Laughing, Part 1. Let's fill the backyard with sheds, a painting and sculpture one for you, another shed to store your bags of cut hair yogurt lids, wooden wolves, decapitated baby dolls, all your broken things, bundles of useful sticks, the toolbox of bones and feathers. A she shed for me, filled with Carver, Hoagland, and Hickok. A little desk for writing, coffee on slow drip, and a front porch with just enough room for a red rocking chair. A sea shed for days when I miss the ocean, with sand, soothing wave soundscapes, a tiny pool for floating in, a myriad of inflatable friends, pina coladas. And the cats need their own shed too, now that they are teenagers. They do not want to be around us 24/7, like when they were kittens, clawing at our sleeves, mew-mewing for bowls of milk. They need their freedom, time to explore instincts. We will give them a big window to watch robins, climbing towers, a winding staircase, nooks for lazing. Part 2. But we must also have a tiny screaming shed, walls covered with photos of traffic jams, fire. We all need to release, to tell the world we're angry. I think we could market our idea, sell these at $1,000 a pop, and we could target a different market, the mourners, the woeful, with worn black sheds for sad days when we all need to cry alone beside an old three-legged dog. We really must have a shed for dancing, for playing all those synthesizer beats that make our heads wobble, your hips quiver, and a love shed for secret rendezvous when I become Judy, the mannequin head beauty, and you, Giuseppe, and sometimes his sleazy brother, Guido. And lastly, when we die, we will need a shed to bury us in, either bones or ashes. You choose. It will not matter. Just make sure we are side by side, turned upright and laughing. The final poem is called I Envy the Birds. All float and whirl and flap of wings, these tiny beauties all outstretched in the sun. They call the trees their home, make nests from found treasure. Enough. They do not need what I need. No antidepressants, no morphine, though I bet they mourn their mothers, their tiny babies fallen from above, straight into the mouths of beasts. When I come back for another round, I want to be one of them, flying solo or with my flock, cawing and laughing and looking down at all the sad humans, staring at their tiny machines. Will they even notice me? Will they take a moment to breathe and look up? Just look up. Thank you.